an erection, a huge...
Get out of my face.
If there's one truth in the cosmos, one cosmic truth, the truth is...
And get out of my face. Get out of my fucking face.
Invitation, but after watching some of your YouTube video, I don't think I would fit into the swimming pool very well. Wonder why he says that. Again, thanks for the invitation and good luck in your creative endeavors. Sincerely, Michael Aquino. Oh, not every day you get a letter from Michael Aquino. Yeah. Oh, all right.
How you doing? Ayin Thropos here with another exciting episode of You Don't Know. You don't know, huh? So don't act like you do.
Get into this carriage and go for a ride. We got the green light now, let's go. There's nothing left to decide. With all our foolish fears we left behind us with friends, we'll catch back up with them when the world comes to an end. You don't need no condemnation to pass. The old ways were born with one foot in the grave. They were never meant to last. And now we've got a new enzyme. We sail the seven seas until the end of time. Headed to a storm, it's plain for all to see. They are the masters of their ship, but not their destiny. And you don't need no spaceship ticket to go. They'll file into their junk rooms until the gold mine begins to flow. You don't need no confirmation to pass. The old ways were born with one foot in the grave. They were never meant to last. And now we've got a new enzyme. We sail the seven seas until the
You don't know, huh? So don't act like you do. Because then something bad might happen to you. Welcome to another gripping episode of You Don't Know, a Basis Texas production, brought to you by me, Ayin Thropos, and remote viewing, my homeboy in Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming. This is another interview with John Stormm, backed by popular demand. The narrative and the tales and stories of John's life from before he was born all the way up until to the present day, a life fraught with challenges, victories, failures, but a testament of the human will, the will to power, the will to overcome, and just overcome anything. And John still is with us to this day as a living, breathing testament to this will, this occultic, if you will, this druidic spirit that seems to be flowing through his veins. John Stormm is America's original super soldier. Check it out, huh? Basis, Texas. Time for another Basis, Texas production. Welcome to You Don't Know. All right. We've got another episode with John Stormm, America's original super soldier, backed by popular demand. I'd sit here and tell you John Stormm is a bad man. John Stormm ain't a bad man. John Stormm is a good man. But he's a tough customer. You don't fuck around with that man at all, huh? How many people have learned the hard way? Or you might even call it the easy way. You don't hear him complaining no more, do you? Where's the customer complaint section on John Stormm? It's been silenced, huh? Talking about a man who is trained in various disciplines, martial arts, etc. The most, somebody who helped develop many of the most extreme tactics used through the years, through recent decades, by the American military. And after he semi-retired from his career as a patriot soldier, quelling, rebellion, fighting for democracy, fighting against communism, and just doing some hard work. He spent a lot of time training other warriors for this country, the red, white, and blue. Brave soldiers, our guys, our team. Regardless of the fact that they've been misled, by our corrupt leaders. That's no reflection on the soldiers themselves and the American people. It just ain't. It's a dirty business. Make no mistake about it. It's a dirty business. But John Stormm is someone who has a moral fiber and always believed he was, fighting for truth and justice and democracy and America, and in fact always was, even if he was being lied to. I mean, he was taking out bad guys. Bad guys. Unfortunately, sometimes these bad guys were then, replaced with new bad guys that our government would put in there. And so it becomes a cyclical deal, and it's pretty tough. John Stormm has survived multiple attempts on his life. Right now he's fighting against cancer. He believes And I believe that this cancer is not naturally caused. It's some type of cancer technology. He mentions in the video how these cancer cells can be injected into someone, especially while they're, in an operation, for other complications. And of course, obviously, that can be done. There are other more exotic forms of transmitting cancer, weaponized cancer. I don't know if it was a Hugo Chavez, but a South American leader who's very critical of the United States some years ago in recent history, accused the United States or operatives of the United States of assassinating other South American and Central American leaders with weaponized cancer. And he was pretty vocal about this. And he was not an old man, middle-aged man in the prime of his health. And right around the time that he started making these accusations about government agencies enforcing the Monroe Doctrine, the America's domination of the Americas, North, South, and Central America. Lo and behold, he got cancer. A very severe and kind of rare kind of cancer, and died very quickly. Just like Lloyd Pye, who was revealing many things that I'm sure he was probably warned to not reveal. And the lady, her name escapes me, but John talks about her. I think she's the lady that did a lot of work on 911. Just damning evidence. Damning evidence. And she got cancer. And she died. Now John Stormm has cancer. He's one tough son of a bitch. For real, man. You don't fuck with this guy. I wouldn't mess with him. I'm as hard as they come. That's for real. John Stormm is America's original super soldier. He's still alive, well, and kicking it today. He's in a lot of pain. He's going through chemotherapy treatments. He's an advocate for the use of marijuana, medicinal marijuana. And he's got some really good points about that. And so this interview is being divided up into several episodes that are not continuous nor contiguous. They're more or less going by topic. And I'd say 75 to 80% of this interview deals with tactics. The tactical experiences of John Stormm fighting wars, both overt and covert, for the United States of America, for you and me, enduring Nazi concentration camps that were right here in the United States. I mean, I'm not saying that they're here today. I'm sure they are. There's controversial things that are said and come up about the Holocaust. No one's denying the Holocaust. It gets overlooked that the Holocaust was imported over here, and American citizens were subjected to these hideous tortures, in which in these programs over 95% of the people died, whether they were men, women, children, and there were lots of children apparently involved in these things. This type of MK Ultra mind control many times not only begins in a child or in children or in infancy, but even before birth. Prenatal type of, I guess, torture would just be a good way to describe it. These technologies, many of them have been known. They are absolutely real. First of all, let me say that. Absolutely real. And many of them have been known for countless millennia, almost probably going back to the dawn of time. And whereas a victim or a subject is against their will basically tortured to receive traumatic experiences to where the human mind dissociates from reality, from the body, as a natural defense mechanism that is built into the human being for a very good reason. Because some of the, if you're getting eaten by a dinosaur or something like this, or, you see your, brother getting eaten by a dinosaur, these memories, these traumatic memories can be so intense that, normally the human being would just like curl up in a ball in a fetal position and just, be shaking like a leaf at every little noise, thus rendering them incapable of surviving. And so as a method or modicum of survival, this concept, often called amnesiac barriers, seem to be naturally built into the human organism, the human psyche. Whereas when the human being receives such trauma to a certain degree that's so intense, these memories are cordoned off and to where they cannot be accessed by the human mind except through what's called an alter, which is an alter personality. In other words, the mind is broken and shattered into many fragments that are unaware of one another, or they can be separated from one another. It's something that's very hard for the layman to understand, and I'm not saying that I understand it. Well, at some point, this natural defense mechanism was weaponized, and it became a science. And the early dark sorcerers, the priest class, learned how to create what we now call super soldiers. And now coming even further into the present, a new type of psychic super soldier that have been called remote viewers. It's a complex subject. Even more, troubling is the fact that many of these torture victims are children. And this is where we hear about these, terrible crimes being committed and everything, and by perverts and stuff like this. And I've looked at these facts, the facts that were given, however skewed or true or untrue they may be. Obviously, there's much truth there. And I have done a lot of contemplating on these things, and I have come to understand that even though there's, sexual perversion and perverts involved in these things, and in fact, everyone adult who is involved in these things is more than likely some type of sexual pervert, there's just not enough perverts in the world to account for the continuation of this thing. And so, first of all, we see that it's generational, and that these practices exist within families, what we may term today as, Illuminati bloodline families. And so there is a type of, for lack of a better, term, satanic generational mode. There's the idea of SRA, satanic ritual abuse. And the whole concept itself is just so hideous and repugnant to the human being that most of the masses, the unwashed masses, the people that live in fear of the sheeple, don't want to know. Can you blame them? I don't want to know. You don't want to know. You don't know. Let me tell you that. You don't know. And so what it's come down to is that this is some type of weird, bizarre science. And we're learning more about this from the recent work of Tim Riefat, who has connections, or had connections working in a lot, not in, but maybe alongside various intelligence agencies in the UK. And it's been discovered that a lot of this that's going on has ties back to ancient Egypt. And so Tim has made a number of startling discoveries and has also unlocked, so to speak, or decoded the work of Colin Bloy, who's MI6 agent, who's been dead, I'm assuming, at least a couple of decades, who did some really fantastic work. I'm not saying he was a good guy. I'm not saying he was a nice guy. I'm not saying Tim Refat is a nice guy. Some of these people are not very likable. That's just it. We're talking about one of the hardest, most hardcore subjects there is on the planet. And then making that leap, coming to the realization of how this reality, this matrix, so to speak, works. And these alleged, Masonic ideas wherein the initiated human being comes to understand, through the duality, that somehow conflict is the food. So anyway, this conflict somehow is the fuel or the food for these extra-dimensional entities. And so, with Russia leading the charge with this psychic remote viewing, remote influence, remote assassinations, is where it's come to this day. And let me tell you, I will reveal some information right here, right now, that you probably have never heard, and that can be corroborated quite a bit by the research done by Josh Reeves, who doesn't like me, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. There's many players involved in this, and the one their name doesn't escape me. I know it is. It's more or less like I'm hesitating to say it because they're a very powerful organization. Unlike what we're taught to believe, we're taught to believe that they're just a bunch of kooks, occultists, and running some type of cult, controlling people, working the hell out of them, making them read all these books and buy all these books and stuff like that. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Scientology. And there's some disturbing information that's come out about Scientology. Well, first and foremost, the Scientology organization is in the business of remote viewing, remote influencing, and remote assassinations. In other words, if you got enough coin, you can have somebody you don't like killed by the Church of Scientology. That's true. That's the world we live in. Also, which is even more, probably even more frightening, many of our leaders, many of our leaders in organizations that you would never think were involved in any way with Scientology are in fact involved with Scientology. Now, they don't have allegiance or, at least directly with the Church of Scientology. They are in a different bracket or group that can be loosely termed as free zoners. Like Freeman Fly in the Free Zone, all right? He's really exposing the Illuminati, isn't he? Come on, man. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. It's sad. Josh Reeves has pointed out and, in my mind, proven that many, if not most, if not all, except for Miles Johnson, of course, who's a beacon of humanity, and there's and others like him. I could sit here and name people: Brian Forrester, Maria Wheatley. People that are really have the best interest of humanity in their hearts, And not even condemning the people who have sold out, because listen, what are you going to do when they come to you with that offer? What do you want, lead or gold, huh? You know what you're going to take. You're going to take the gold. Not everybody does. Wilhelm Reich didn't take the gold. Chris Cornell of Soundgarden didn't take the gold. Chester Bennington of Linkin Park didn't take the gold. Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince, the amazing, talented man, the sexy man, icon, musician, he didn't take the gold. They're no longer with us. Okay, their deaths were not an accident. So that's what it is. It's a stark reality. John Storm not only has a role in this reality, this matrix. He's a key figure. Has been for decades, and is increasingly so right now. And it seems like the attacks have been ramped up against him. There's actually a core group of good doctors that are trying to save his life right now. He has some advanced and rare form of cancer that he believes he was given. It was injected into him or somehow transmitted to him, a weaponized form of cancer. I concur. I think that it's very likely that that's what's going on. Now, through this process of, educating people about, the cabal and the control system, the MK Ultra, the super soldiers and all this, he's also become an advocate for the medical use of marijuana. And the CBDs, forgive me for not maybe saying that right. It's a cannabinol, the oil, the way I understand it, of the marijuana plant, basically, or hemp. So there's, it's a miracle plant apparently, and this has been known for some time. And we also see it being legalized, not throughout the United States, but kind of just like one state at a time. Texas obviously is a very conservative state. We're right here. We're in Texas, right? That's why we have our show, Bases Texas. And yeah, Texas is a very conservative state. It's a great state. That's why they call it the great state of Texas. But the people here are also smart. They're practical, pragmatic. And hey, there's, this... medicinal marijuana and stuff. It's something that can be taxed and bring in more revenue for the state. And so Texas could easily have legalized marijuana way sooner than many other states. And it really makes sense once you think about it, even though you would not initially think that about Texas. It could very well happen. A good friend of mine from Lubbock, Texas, was down here visiting some people on a business trip recently. An attorney, another childhood friend of mine, and another group of people looking at the feasibility of growing marijuana commercially under, government, guidelines and stuff like this, totally legit when that time comes, And so Lubbock, Texas, the area where I'm from and was raised in, and is famous for cotton and cotton production. It's the cotton capital of the world. What these center pivot systems that, conserve the water and go around in a circle. Who's to say that 5 or 10 years from now, they won't be having many circles of growing the cannabis for these edibles and for this smoking stuff to help alleviate the pain and other symptoms that cancer patients and victims suffer from. So John Storm is an advocate for this, and I think it's a pretty good cause. And so that is covered actually extensively in this interview. But it's at the very most like maybe 20%. This interview, which is the new round of interviews featuring John Stormm, and I don't know how many parts we're going to get off of this interview, but easily 4 or 5. This interview, well, the last interview went around 2.5 hours. This interview went for 3 hours. Oh, and ended only because I just had to end it. John's he's passionate. He's a passionate man. He's got more strength and vitality, or would have more strength and vitality, on his deathbed than an average person would have on the high school whatever track team or something like this. He's a remarkable man. Remarkable man, and he has decided to be a whistleblower, and he's not too much of a finger pointer. He's somebody who points out all these nefarious deeds and everything, but he doesn't go around naming people. He has his own reasons. I'm not going to question those reasons. And so you see that these topics of remote viewing, psychic assassination, shamanism, druidry, black magic, spycraft, espionage, all of these things are related. UFOs, demons, aliens, God. We're in territory right now where you have to have a unified, comprehensive look at these things. And most of us have not developed this, our own personal unified field theory, for lack of a better word. And it wouldn't really matter if we did, because there's not a whole lot of agreement. There's not a package that covers all of this stuff. And so it's very challenging to even address these issues, much less write a book about it or have a YouTube show about it or something like this. And so it's the value of a community effort really comes into play. Really comes into play. Because many of these softer truths can be expressed and lightly understood by the people. You don't want to shut their minds down. You don't want to just have them running for the hills by hitting them with the news, the truth. You can't handle the truth. How do I know that? Because I can't handle the truth. And I'm about 10 times tougher than you are. You can fucking believe that. I'm as hard as they come. You can believe that. So, it's a conundrum. John Stormm is not, he's not a whistleblower, or he's definitely not a finger pointer in the classical sense. He's has been a targeted individual. He is a targeted individual. The one good, that I kind of don't like that term, but the one good thing about the targeted individual, concept is that it does not necessitate the targeted individual being a victim. Because that's what I'm against, is allowing yourself to be a victim. And that's what John Stormm is against and teaches against. Even if it's all over, even if they're just, they got you tied up and they're just, doing, fucking you in the ass or whatever they're doing, you still don't have to be a victim. Because victimhood starts right here. It also ends right here. This body, they can fuck it off. They can make you hurt. They can make you hurt bad. They can make you talk. Don't give a fuck who you are. They can make you talk. John Stormm goes into this reality. I personally ask him, and probably we'll talk about this more even in future episodes. But yeah, John Stormm has been caught behind enemy lines. He's been captured. He's been tortured. And even in this very interview that you now have access to, that shows some of the deepest, darkest secrets and tactics of super soldiers like John Stormm, who also trained airborne rangers, who also trained Marines, who also trained SEALs, and who also trained Delta Force personnel. You're going to hear it straight from the lion's mouth. You know, you're gonna find out what this shit's about right here. This is the only place that this information is coming out. I'm not sure how much longer it'll come out. I mean, I'm not worried about getting taken out or something like that. I mean, probably the very worst that could happen to this message or narrative is I could somehow lose my privileges with the company that with YouTube and stuff. Fortunately, I have been in contact recently with a person who is actually one of these YouTube reviewers, for lack of a better term. And then somebody who makes their living, watching YouTube, looking for problems or stuff that goes against the policy and taking whatever measures are deemed appropriate. We are headed into a new time, a new, more advanced time of censorship. The purpose of this show is not to speak out against censorship. I mean, of course, it'll be mentioned from time to time. Of course, I'm against it, and I'm not. But I'm not going to sit here and bash YouTube. I'm a YouTube fan. I'm sold on it, And while these Facebook technologies, Google technologies, YouTube technologies can and do invade our privacy, I'm someone who is elected to kind of just put myself out there. And so, I can't bitch as much as, I can be just as concerned, but I really just can't complain for many reasons as much as you can, if you choose to. So anyway, that's enough of that. This is very heavy material. Very heavy material, and now we're getting into an area. There's one main topic of this interview, and that is the martial reality, the blood and guts, the ambushes, the firefights, the assassinations, the improvised weapons. It's dirty business. And I, from time to time ask John's advice or recommendations on certain survival tactics, fighting tactics, and stuff like that. We're talking about you're spending time in your living room with one of the world's deadliest living warriors, a true super soldier, America's original super soldier. John Stormm. Thanks for joining us. Hold on, man. It's gonna be a rough ride now. It's gonna be an eye-opening experience. You can believe that, huh? Ooh, you can believe that.